Hey everyone, I'm Trevor, and today we're at Disneyland to share with you our best ride tips. Everything you need to know for rides at Disneyland. So let's get going. Full disclosure, this video is going to be what I call a talking head video. That's mostly where I just dump all these tips on you, and we're not necessarily in the park. You just get to look at the background, the pretty backgrounds. I'll change the backgrounds up as we're talking. But the first tip for you is rope drop. Okay, rope drop. What is important with rope drop? Well, first off, do it, right? Show up for rope drop. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But what rides should you go to for rope drop? I find Space Mountain to be the absolute best ride to rope drop. Even if you're at the back of the rope drop line, I mean, like you showed up at 8:02, you missed it. You will wait 15 minutes tops, and it's pretty quick moving. I love going to Space Mountain for rope drop. Another good one is going to be Indiana Jones, because I feel like there's hardly ever a wait for that ride in the morning. Additionally, Haunted Mansion, when it's off of virtual queue, is always a good one to go to in the holiday iteration or version. What are some rides that are not good to go to? Well, Rise of the Resistance, of course, you've heard me say that over and over again. Rise of the Resistance is best to go to at 9 a.m. That is just when the wait time is the lowest all day long. I've seen it at 15 minutes at 9 a.m. But generally it's floating in the like 30 to 35 range, which is totally manageable because honestly, that means you're only really waiting 10 to 15 minutes before the first pre-show. So definitely Rise of the Resistance, not necessarily one to rope drop. Wait an hour for that one. Some other ones that are not good are going to be Matterhorn, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Why? Because these rides have a tendency to be broken first thing in the morning. They're not, well, not broken, but they're just not quite ready to go yet. So they have what we call a delayed opening. That happened to me this morning with Matterhorn. I went there first. Didn't open until 8:35 this morning. So it does happen that if you're going to go all the way back to Mickey and Minnie's, that one was closed when I went back there this morning as well. You make all the trip back there only to find out that the ride is closed. Additional rides that you may not think about that are bad for rope drop are going to be any boat ride that takes a lot of time. We're talking Pirates of the Caribbean, It's a Small World, Finding Nemo submarines, Jungle Cruise, anything that's like 10 plus minutes. Why? Because you are eating up valuable golden hour time. That is from 8 to 10 a.m. is the best time to ride rides. We're going to transition straight into tip number 2 here, and that is showing up at rope drop at park opening is really helpful to you for getting the most amount of rides done. If you show up early, you get up, you beat those people that are sleeping in, you are going to find that you'll get a lot done during those first couple of hours. And you don't want to be wasting valuable time doing those 15, 20-minute rides. Go on the Fantasyland rides that are like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, that you can just pound them all out. I mean, you can get 5 Fantasyland rides done in like the first 45 minutes. It's just amazing that you can get all of that done quickly. Whereas if you focus on these longer rides, you may find that it's 9 o'clock and you've only done 1, maybe 2 rides. Especially if you're starting with Rise of the Resistance. You will lose the whole first hour on that ride alone. So definitely rope drop. Also, park close. If you are going to stay for rope drop, or if you're not going to stay for rope drop, definitely stay for park close. If you have the stamina to stay for both park close and rope drop, definitely do it from 8 a.m. to midnight. If you can last that long, I applaud you, because from 10 p.m. to midnight is the second best time to ride rides here in the park. All the families with little kids are going to go back to their hotel by 9 because their littlest ones are wiped out. They're zonkered. They can't survive anymore. They have to go back to the hotel. Families like me who are locals but live further away, like in San Diego, are leaving by 7 or 8 so that we get home to put our kids in bed at a reasonable time, because I have a 90-minute drive to get back home. And so after 10 p.m., you're definitely only really looking at the people with the energy to make it that far, and it's going to be better for you. To promote my new Facebook group, I thought we would do a giveaway. I created the Facebook group as a complimentary avenue to get questions answered. And so if you want to join the Facebook group, I will put a link to it down in the description, but I'm going to be giving away one of the new Alien Buzz Lightyear Halloween sippers that just came out here at the Disneyland Resort. And so if you want a chance to win that sipper, find the pinned post on the Facebook group and follow the instructions there, comment, and if you comment there on Facebook, you will be entered to win. If you don't have Facebook, I apologize. We will do another giveaway here soon for everybody here on YouTube as well. I neglected to mention this when I first filmed it, but the giveaway will run through Sunday, September 22nd, and a winner will be chosen on Monday, September 23rd. If you are watching this video after that date, still go join the Facebook group because there's loads of fun going on there. I've relocated here to outside of Peter Pan and Fantasyland because I want to just kind of segue from this idea of park closed from 10 to midnight. Right before that time frame, there is a phenomenon that happens here at Disneyland, and that's where they close Fantasyland and Toontown from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Why? Because of fireworks that are going on. So what's going to happen is this entire area around me is going to completely shut down. They're not going to even allow people into this area, primarily because when the fireworks happen, there could be debris that comes down and things like that. And so if you want a good time to ride Peter Pan, it's going to be immediately after that 8 to 10 window. When they close, they reopen back up. The line will be empty. You can get on it quite quickly. If you don't do that, of course, rope drop is going to be a good option. There's a couple of factors that we need to include in with this. First off, if it is an early entry day, this line is already going to be 25 minutes before rope drop even happens. Early entry happens at Disneyland on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. All the other days of the week are over at Disney California Adventure, but you don't want to come to Peter Pan on a Tuesday, Thursday, or a Saturday because it'll already be too long for you as far as rope drop is concerned. But the other days of the week, this is a viable ride to try to come and do first thing in the morning. Again, if you can't do it at rope drop, right after Fantasyland reopens from fireworks is another good time. What are some other rides affected by early entry? Well, for Disneyland, it's going to be any of the Tomorrowland rides and Fantasyland rides. Not necessarily all of them, but a good chunk of them. And over in Disney California Adventure, it is going to be most of the rides on the east end of the park. We're talking Guardians of the Galaxy, the Cars Land rides, the Spider-Man Web Slingers. I think even Incredicoaster might be open, but not a whole lot else is open at that time. Radiator Springs Racers is not open. It might open early during early entry, but it's not listed to actually do that. Toy Story Midway Mania does not open during early entry. You can check Disneyland's website for a full list of rides, but whenever you are planning your rope drop strategies, if you are going to a park with an early entry day and you do not have early entry at Disney California Adventure, you want to avoid Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. The line will be too long before you even get in to do it. Here at Disneyland, Space Mountain is one of the ones that is open. However, early entry actually does not affect that ride too much. I still think that you should rope drop that attraction even on early entry days. Again, Peter Pan's really the only one that I feel like is mostly affected. If you do have early entry, rope dropping Rise the Resistance actually is a possibility and something for you to consider, because you can actually position yourself here in Fantasyland over by the Red Rose Tavern, and you can position yourself there. You'll be much closer when the rope drop happens, that you can get over to Rise the Resistance before the crowd all the way down in the hub. So if you do have early entry, there are some strategies that you can use effectively. Who gets early entry? Disneyland Hotel guests. That is the Disneyland Hotel, Pixar Pier Hotel, and Grand Californian Hotel. Only those three hotels have early entry. Early entry begins at 7:30. And again, it rotates Disneyland on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, Disney California Adventure the other days of the week. As I'm walking to my next filming spot, I should tell you, if you have not done this already, get out your phone. Well, you might be watching on your phone, so get out a little notepad, get somebody else's phone, put this on the television, and then get out your phone. I don't know, but find somewhere to take some notes, because this is coming rapid fire. We're just dropping information, a huge info dump for you, if you will. Watch the video 4 or 5 times if you have to soak it all in, but there is going to be so much valuable info in this video that you need to know. Speaking of Rise of the Resistance, let's talk about it for a minute. This ride actually closes early most days. Now, I can't tell you exactly what time. I feel like it's around 9 p.m. However, it fluctuates depending on the day. The attraction closes early. Why? Well, because it takes so much time to maintenance and prep this attraction for the following day that they close it early the night before. And so even if the park stays open until midnight, Rise of the Resistance is going to close, like I said, sometime around 9 p.m. Do not wait to ride this ride at 11. It will not be open. What other rides close early? Well, Davy Crockett's Explorer Canoes opens late. It opens at 10 a.m. and closes at 5 p.m. I know a lot of you aren't really rushing to check that out. You might see my previous video from a couple of days ago where we did our worst rides, and Davy Crockett's Explorer Canoes found itself on the list. There's hardly ever a wait for that attraction. But it is primarily because it's a boat on the river. So they have to, one, have enough people to be able to row the boat because it's a big boat. So doing it first thing at rope drop, there's not enough people in the park coming there. So they don't open it until 10. But then also, once the sun starts to dip down, no one really wants to ride around in the boat around the lake when they can't see either. So that ride closes a little bit earlier. Other closures that you should be aware of is that there's a refurb calendar on Disneyland's website. I'll put a link to it down in the description. You can go and you can check out the dates for your trip. It only goes out 6 weeks though, however, but you can look at all the rides that are going to be closed for refurbishment whenever you're planning on visiting and being aware that those rides will not be open. Additionally, there are rides that close whenever there is high wind, like the Golden Zephyr over at Disney California Adventure. If it's very windy, the rides will temporarily close. The Disneyland monorail closes in high heat. So during the middle of the afternoon, the Disneyland monorail will not run if it is too hot because there's no air conditioning on the monorail. It'll run earlier and later in the day. When it rains, there are some rides that will not run, but it's mostly whenever it is thundering, like a Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Even though it has thunder in the name, if there is lightning, these outdoor roller coasters are not going to run. So just be aware that weather and those sorts of things will impact the attractions around the park. Next, I want to share with you some ride hacks, and we're actually going to go do one of them right now. Now, a more generic hack to remember is left is best. Left is best. When lines are split and you have the choice to choose which way to go, left is best 80 to 85% of the time. There are a few exceptions. Whenever there are disability loading zones, they could potentially slow down the left-hand side. I'm thinking of It's a Small World. In that particular ride instance, the right is the better option. But for the most part, in rides, left is best. Remember that mantra, and you will save a few minutes waiting in line. Again, when you are given the choice. But another hack is going to be for rides with pre-show rooms. We're talking Haunted Mansion, Rise of the Resistance, Spider-Man Web Slingers, anything with noticeable rooms where people gather, and then there are doors to get you out. But Haunted Mansion is the best one because nobody has any clue where the door actually is after the elevator room. Now, as we head on into the Haunted Mansion here, there is a vestibule room that you first go into. There's a door on your left and a door on your right. The exit to the elevator is the opposite direction of the door you go in. So if you go in the left-hand elevator, the exit is on the right-hand side, and reversed for the other elevator. If you go in the right-hand door, the exit is on the left. Just remember that, and you will bypass pretty much everybody else that just kind of hangs out in the center of the elevator shaft. For the most part, the doors to exit the pre-show rooms are fairly obvious, like I said, with the exception of Haunted Mansion and Rise of the Resistance. When you are on the shuttle that is taking you from Galaxy's Edge up to the Star Cruiser, there's a shuttle, obviously. Most people think that the door to exit the shuttle is opposite the door that you came in, but in fact, you leave through the same door that you entered. So if you position yourself closer to that door, you will have a quicker exit, and you will skip pretty much everybody else in front of you by doing that. If you are enjoying this video and finding it helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help out the channel. And if you want to save some money on your next Disneyland vacation, call my friends at Getaway today and tell them that SoCal Disney Dad sent you. Or click the link down in the description and use my coupon code to save on their already discounted packages. Let's talk about Lightning Lane Multipass. I'm hanging out here outside of Indiana Jones. The ride is closed right now, so I can't really go in any further than this. So this is all you get to look at. But Lightning Lane Multipass, absolutely necessary. Purchase it. Just do it. Take my word for it and buy it. Budget it, okay? $30 a person per day. Just plan that out, budget it, and plan to spend it because it is so valuable. If you are visiting one time per year or less, this is absolutely crucial to your enjoyment of Disneyland. I just think that you ought to buy multi-pass and not the single pass. The single pass I find not to really be worth it. I really would never suggest that unless you have money to spare and throw at things like Rise of the Resistance and Radiator Springs Racers. Otherwise, there are hacks to ride them without. I already shared the 9 a.m. hack for Rise of the Resistance. For Radiator Springs Racers, the hack is to just use the single rider line if you can. That's for anybody 7 years or over. We'll talk about single rider in a minute. However, Lightning Lane Multipass, I want to get back on this for a moment. There are rides that are best used for Lightning Lane Multipass, and then there are rides that are not so good. Indiana Jones behind me is actually one of the not so good ones. What do I mean? Well, even with Lightning Lane Multipass, by the time you get to the merge point where they merge the standby and the Lightning Lane, you still have approximately 15 to 17 more minutes to wait inside the temple. Yeah, it doesn't skip a whole lot. In fact, this is one of the worst rides to do Lightning Lane at Rope Drop because there are so few people, you may not skip anybody on the outside of the attraction, and thereby you completely wasted your Lightning Lane. The rides with the best multi-pass usage are going to be Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway because you skip pretty much all of the line, and that is a huge standby line with a lot of people in it, and you just walk right on by if you use Lightning Lane for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Space Mountain is another decent one, still about a 5 to 10 minute wait after the merge point, so it's not like super advantageous, but one of the better ones. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, also a pretty good one. I'm trying to think of other like bad Lightning Lane usages. I can only really think of Indiana Jones though, at least first thing in the morning, especially when the wait time is 60 minutes plus. Lightning Lane is excellent, but be aware that you'll still have to wait like 15 minutes or so. If we are being completely transparent, which is what we do here on the channel, pretty much any Lightning Lane is not useful first thing in the morning, except for maybe Guardians of the Galaxy over at Disney California Adventure, because that one does get a long line very quickly. Otherwise, you're skipping 5 to 10 minutes at best if you use a Lightning Lane on something like Space Mountain at Rope Drop. Why would you do that when you could wait 3 or 4 hours and skip an hour, of a wait? That's my philosophy. I try not to even use my first Lightning Lane until after 9 o'clock. Again, just personal preference. If you're really dead set on riding that one particular ride at Rope Drop, just go standby and then use the Lightning Lane later in the day and ride it again. It's so great. I'm in transit to my next filming location and things just keep coming to me, so we're gonna walk and talk. The fastest rides to disappear here at Disneyland Indiana Jones. It's gonna be one of the ones that disappears the quickest. So it actually works to your advantage. If you can get one for like around 9:30, that is ideal because by then it has a decent wait you can actually skip. Other ones that disappear pretty quickly, I feel like Smuggler's Run, oddly. Smuggler's Run sometimes disappears fairly quickly. Over at Disney California Adventure, definitely Guardians of the Galaxy and Toy Story Midway Mania, the two that are going to disappear the fastest. So we mentioned single rider lines. Let's talk about that for a minute. The single rider service is available so that they can fill empty seats on attractions without leaving them empty, of course. And so they take one person. The idea is that if you're a solo traveler, you can easily fill in those empty seats. However, groups can take advantage of it as well because a group of 5 or 6 people can go in the single rider line and you can take in those empty seats as well. there are signs outside of the rides, outside of the single rider lines, letting you know that your group will be split up, okay? Single riders will be split up in most instances. And there are better rides for single rider than not. Matterhorn behind me is one of the rides that allows a single rider, and it's an okay ride for single rider. It is. It's not bad. So in order to be a single rider, you have to be at least 7 years of age because, of course, a 3-year-old, even if they're tall enough for the attraction, isn't going to be mature enough to ride by themselves. And so Disney places that benchmark at 7 years old. So once your child is 7 years old, they can use single rider lines. And the best single rider rides, in my opinion, are going to be rides like Radiator Springs Racers. The number one, my absolute favorite for single rider line. Also, Goofy Sky School, pretty decent for single rider lines. Grizzly River Run over at Disney California Adventure, also good for single rider lines. Here at Disneyland, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run has a pretty decent single rider line. The ones that are just average, like I said, Matterhorn, Space Mountain, I'm thinking of over at Disneyland, Spider-Man Web Slingers. The absolute worst rides for single rider are going to be soaring. Just don't do it. It might take you longer than the standby line. They even warn you about that when you walk in. They take so few single riders that they said that you might actually wait longer than the standby wait time. It's never happened to me, but I've still waited far longer than most single rider lines. Incredicoaster's another bad one. The line just gets really long and they don't take as many single riders for that attraction. I just don't like it for single rider. I didn't mention why Smuggler's Run is really good here at Disneyland. Hardly anybody uses it. Hardly anybody uses it. But why I particularly like it is because if you have a party of 2, you can take both of you in the single rider line and you will almost always get put together. Almost always. You'll probably be the engineers. You're probably going to be the engineers. I'm just letting you know that right off the bat. You're probably going to be the engineer. But if you can go together, James and I do that all the time. He and I can ride together in the same vehicle, even through single rider. Another one that's good for that is Radiator Springs Racers. You may not be sitting next to each other, but you will likely, it's very probable, that you will be in the same ride vehicle. Or some people like it when they're in the opposing vehicle and you get to race each other. So there are benefits to single rider, even though your party gets split up. Next, let's talk about Disneyland's Rider Switch service. One of my favorites to do this on was always Space Mountain. We've been coming to Disneyland since our children were babies. I mean, quite literally. We brought James his very first time when he was just 8 weeks old. Yes, we started our kids very, very young, and they can do anything that doesn't have a height requirement, which is actually about 30 some odd rides between both Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. I'll put a link down in the description to a video if you are pregnant or you have small children and you're interested in what rides those are. Put a link down in the description. You can check that out. But the Rider Switch service is available, and what that allows you to do is one person sits out with the little one who can't ride, and the other person or the other people in the group ride the attraction. And then the person who sits out gets to scan their ticket, and they get a free lightning lane plus an additional lightning lane for a guest to go with them. And so how this works for a family of 4 like myself is that when Benjamin was too young to ride, but James was old enough to ride, Amy would sit out with Benjamin, and James and I would go ride the attraction. Then when we got off, I would sit out with Benjamin, and James would go ride with Amy, and so James would get to ride it twice. James and I would wait standby. Amy and James would get to use the lightning lane, and that's essentially how that system works. And so one person sits out and then they switch, and every single ride with a height requirement has that service here at Disneyland. Just ask the cast member at the front of the attraction. They will scan your ticket and you can take advantage of the Rider Switch service. Another one of my personal favorite hacks that a lot of you don't tend to like is to skip parades and fireworks. So we're hanging out here, the parade path through the Disneyland hub here area. That's what's behind me, in case you're wondering, like, what in the world? Why are you standing there? It's because the parade comes right through here. In fact, it comes up this path over by Matterhorn here, and it goes down Main Street. And I think that if you want to ride rides, you're here to ride rides. You don't care about other things. Skipping parades and fireworks is a good way to enjoy lower wait times, because the more people that are standing here waiting for the parade or waiting for fireworks, there are less people in line for the rides. And so that's an excellent suggestion, excellent tip for, doing other things. Skip the nighttime entertainment. Skip the middle of the day entertainment, because that's what a parade is, usually in the middle of the afternoon. Some of the parades are really fun. I mean, I love Magic Happens. When it's around, it's not right now. When Magic Happens is around, I love it. If they ever bring back Paint the Night, you have to watch Paint the Night. Paint the Night, my all-time favorite parade ever. I wish they would bring it back. The best, absolute best parade. Electrical Parade, they occasionally bring back as like a classic parade. I like the Electrical Parade. And then we're coming up on Christmas time here soon, and they have the Christmas Fantasy Parade, which I always feel is good for like a one-time watch, but not like super-duper crucial that you have to see it. And to end out the video, we're just back here by the Matterhorn, gonna hang out here and talk about a few things. First off, unique rides at Disneyland that you won't find at Disney World. Matterhorn, of course, right behind me, is one of those unique attractions. Finding Nemo, Submarine Voyage, Indiana Jones Adventure, Haunted Mansion Holiday is a version of Haunted Mansion that you won't find over at Walt Disney World. Pretty much all of the rides over at Disney California Adventure, like, 13 of their 18 rides are completely unique to Disneyland and the Disneyland Resort over here in Anaheim, California. They're just some rides that you definitely have to do if you are a WDW vet, but you've never been to Disneyland. How about the best rides at the Disneyland Resort? Well, at Disneyland Park, it is going to be Rise the Resistance. At Disney California Adventure, it is Radiator Springs Racers. But other rides that top the list are going to be Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Space Mountain, Haunted Mansion, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Incredicoaster, Toy Story Midway Mania, and so much more. If you want to see a full list of the best rides at Disneyland, I'm going to put a link to that video at the end of this one in just a few seconds. But then there's also a list of the worst rides that we just finished up here on the channel, and if you haven't seen that one, those rides include Finding Nemo, Submarine Voyage, Autopia, It's a Small World, Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, The Golden Zephyr, Pixar Pal Around, and again, much, much more. I'm going to put those on the screen right now. Up here at the top is the best rides at Disneyland, and here at the bottom is the worst rides. These rides were picked by you guys via community post. They're not my own personal opinion. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. I'm always happy to answer them, and we will see you again next time.